Hello, everyone. I want to talk about why men are opting out and going MGTOW because there's no doubt that men are opting out of relationships, work, and education, and it's having a devastating effect on the men, the women, and society as a whole. This is Howard Dare, and thank you for stopping by. Okay, so maybe not so much on the ladies, but that's what I want to talk about because I make a lot of videos about this topic. Since I take in a lot of media and give this topic a lot of thought, I can say with certainty that men are choosing to opt out, and this is not just some insignificant isolated incident. It's not just a handful of men who are unhappy and dissatisfied with the situation, losers who just can't make it. No, that's not what it is at all. This phenomenon is taking place across the entirety of Western civilization, and it involves men not seeking relationships with women. Women have stepped into these roles, but they are not suited for these roles. In fact, it actually costs more money to support women than it does to support men. Men are not starting families, and men are not starting careers. Women have stepped into these roles. In these productive roles than they produce, which is devastating to society and civilization. And we can see that things can't continue on this path for very long. However, before we get into the specifics of the problem, let's just go over some of the background information first. During the Great Recession of 2008, I mentioned in some of my earlier videos that men lost 3/4 of the jobs that were lost, and the majority of the jobs that were lost were manufacturing jobs. Now, some of you may be hearing this and thinking that manufacturing jobs don't matter and that high-paying office jobs matter a lot more. However, that statement is not entirely accurate because it is not just the productive work that the manufacturing class actually did in the products that they produce, and it's not just that they, support the actual families that support the population that creates your true tax base, and the office job is geared much more toward, the single person. And here's the thing, men can't hold on to their office jobs. I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're not willing to behave like a complete beta blue pill sampling cuck, you're not going to be able to keep your office job, and in order to do that, you're going to have to betray your own masculine physiology. I'm sorry guys, but it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're not willing to behave like a complete cuck, you won't. And if you don't think it's going to get to that, or if you don't think it's going to go that far, or if you don't think it's going to get that bad, just look at the older men in that environment and know that it's getting worse than that. So yeah, women are doing great in the workplace, right? And all she has to do is express some minor concern about this other guy's or this man's attitude or how he makes her feel. So that's how sexually empowered women are within the workplace. That's how strongly we as a civilization and as a society cater to the woman's wants, needs, and feelings. That's what's dominating, and especially in an office-based environment where production is completely secondary. You're probably aware that it is not men who are producing the work because, if that were the case, you would not be able to because women are unable to perform those tasks nearly as effectively as men. However, this is not the case in the majority of cases. This is a very basic instinctual kind of thing going on here, and as I said, it's not just isolated cases. The men are driven out of their hunting grounds, truly and I know that's an odd way to put it, but that's what it is. So the men are driven out of their hunting grounds because it is occurring throughout all Western civilizations, and those civilizations do not even have replacement population growth rates. So you know what kind of an argument you want to make to me personally? It is like, that's great, buddy. That's great, yeah, you're a real stud. What are you talking about considering that your civilization is perishing and that a straightforward linear extrapolation can show you how long it will take for it to do so, and that we too can carry out the same activity? You are aware of the situation with our finances, and you can take the same approach with your health. Furthermore, you can simply project it outward if things continue in the same manner. You are aware of the current situation and can predict where you will be in the future. Consequently, we are looking to make improvements, and men are choosing to leave their jobs. I'm sorry to put it this way, but the majority of people who needed the system won't be able to turn things around and start their own businesses, even though some of them will eventually do so. However, you should know that some of them will create industries that are unique to themselves. Permit me to discuss the educational system because the same thing is occurring within it. Men are being discouraged from participating. Boys are being discouraged from participating in early education, and boys are being conditioned. They are given grades based on submission, compliance, conformity, and going along with the rules. These are not male qualities. They are drugged. They are shamed. They are given grades based on submission, compliance, and going along with the rules. These are not male qualities. If you have a strong male child, those are not his qualities, I'm sorry to put it that way, but what the hell is right? It's as if you're taking the healthiest and strongest of the males and punishing them for behaving in exactly the same way. Therefore, you are destroying your best, setting this example for the others from such a young age and conditioning them to female desires. It is revolting, and the men all around it give in to it because they want to please the women too. As a result, it is as if all of society is being held hostage and everybody has to walk around on eggshells. Additionally, You should know that women take control of your educational system, and they demonize the boys, and they don't teach mathematics. You know, and they want to give grades for you know. Things like sitting still. Think about that. Little Johnny's really good at doing what he's told. Think about that. So like you guys out there who want to get married and have kids, think about that. Little Johnny's really good at doing what he's told. Think about that. So like you guys out there who want to get married and have kids, okay. So there you go. Now you've got a son, and he's really good at sitting still and doing what he's told. He's really good at that, you know. So is that a great thing, right? So men aren't eager to do that. Let's take a look at the legal system, right? Okay. I mean, do I even need to say anything? You can go to jail for not paying alimony. This is the only country in the world in which men go to jail for not paying for a woman for the rest of her life. Think about that. I mean, do I even need to say anything? I mean, I'm sure that some of you are thinking things like, oh well, Howard dare, he's just some loser complaining about women, so you get in a relationship with a woman. Okay, maybe you have a child. Okay, now you split up. Right. I'm sure that some of you are thinking things like that. You are going to have to contribute financially to the upbringing of that child, aren't you? Of course you are okay with this. Isn't that fair enough? I'm afraid so. Your child is your child's. So let's say they decide you have to give over, say, $2,500 a month to her to take care of the child and her right. In that case, your child is your child. And you know that you run into some tough times and you're not able to do it, and you can only afford to give her $1,500 per month for a while, right? You're going to have to serve time in jail. How do you like that? Yes, seriously. Do I mean you're going to jail? Seriously, like you know. So how is that? So men are opting out. Why would a man agree to that? She could divorce him for no reason, take his children, take his home, take everything he's worked for, destroy his reputation, and then he has to pay to take care of her for the rest of her life, or he goes to jail. Isn't love great? So you know, overall, men in their capitulation to women and women in their willingness to take advantage, and the men are just victims of their own biology. They don't even know what's going on. They just want to say, yes, honey, yes, dear, and then they want to have sex. They don't even know what's going on. They're just victims of their own biology. You've completely incentivized these entitled princesses. You know that the entirety of our society is geared towards taking care of these types of people, not towards production, not towards efficiency, not towards building a future, but rather towards satisfying the transient whims and desires of a privileged class who hate the people who support them and shame them. You know, shames them and manipulates them. And I hope you guys aren't going to call me a sexist or racist for saying this, right? But that's how it works. That's the technique that's used on men, on honorable men, which is to say that they are not good and honorable men, and they respond like that. You know, shame them and manipulate them. And I hope you guys aren't going to call me a sexist or racist for that. Is the state of the news industry right now. Okay, that is all they are doing. They are just slandering people, and it is as if we are going to slander you if you don't go along with us or if you don't agree with the political policies that we have. If a man wants to, get ahead, and if he wants to get together with the women, and if he was a young man who was raised in this system, then it is only natural that good men are turning away from this. It is also natural that this is incentivizing the worst behavior in humans, people, and women. That is what he's going along with, so that is what is facing men, and that is why they are opting out on all levels. And if you're, and if you're like, hey, Howard, you're crazy. That is what men are facing, and that is why they are opting out. It's like, well, that's great, And I don't want to destroy your motivation or anything like that, but just look around at the other man. I'm just going to go out there and do really well in this system. In the situation that they are in, and just keep all of that stuff in mind. And as I've said in other videos, I don't even know that what's happening here is intentional or evil, but it is a part of our nature. And it is an exploitation of the male good nature. Keep all of that in mind. You condition him to believe that what is right is to always help the weak and to take care of the women as well as the needy and those who are unable to take care of themselves. Since he wants to protect the women, he wants to be of service, he wants to be loyal, and he wants to do what is right. You condition him to believe that what is right is to do what is right. And then every time he doesn't do what you want him to do, every time he isn't your servant, you just accuse him of not doing that, of neglecting that aspect of what he's supposed to do in order to be considered a man. And this happens over and over again. And he'll conform, and the men are even. And it's related to then how the man responds physiologically to the world, in other words, and it's related to how the men are not even. Once he agrees to go along with the entitled princess who is manipulating him and lying to him and telling him that he has to hold open the door, writing that he has to accept a B grade instead of an A grade because we're all on a curve now, once he does this, she will tell him that he has to accept a B grade instead of an A grade. And she's an idiot because he has to pay insurance money when he himself is perfectly healthy and has never been to a doctor. He also has to pay taxes for people who aren't even from his country, which means that he has to go bankrupt and lose money. He orders you to take food off of his table that he has earned in order to give it to someone who is not from his own country, who despises his guts, who is playing the victim, who wants to have multiple children, and will teach them to do the same thing in the right way. And if he doesn't go along with it, you're basically telling him that he's a bad man, that he can't get together with women, and that you're a loser, so of course they're going to opt out. How the hell could you make a worse deal for the man? Oh, you could throw them in jail if they disobey what you tell them to do, but we're already doing that, aren't we? Yeah, I suppose that's an option if they don't comply with what you tell them to do. I suppose it's possible to start conditioning them when they're young, but on the other hand, we are already doing that, aren't we? I suppose that giving them drugs when they were children in order to make them comply would be an option, but we're already doing that, aren't we? It is possible that you could employ every facet of your society, including your religion, your entertainment, your media, and your government, in order to promote these ideas, which are in reality inimical to humans. They are not just anti-male. They are also anti-human and anti-productive, and we are already doing that. This is why men are opting out. This is also why MGTOW is here. It has to be here. It has to give men this insight into the philosophy behind it, as well as some tips and pointers on how to navigate through it, in order for them to know that they're not alone, to have a group of community and to find their own way. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about this.